On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 2016. We're going to be taking a look at Colin Hay, and he's going to be performing Down Under. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So there is a link to this original video in the description below if you want to watch it from beginning to end, because there's about 5 minutes before the song where Colin is talking to the audience, so you guys can check that out if you want to. We're just going to be taking a look at the performance, so we will jump into it and see how Colin gets on.
Traveling in a Friday combi on a hippie trail, head full of zombies. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. She said, "Do you come from a land down under? Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover." Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4" and full of muscle. I said, "Do you speak my language, brother?" He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich, and he said, "I come from a land down under, where beers flow and men they chunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover."
I'm just going to jump in here and click on that description below, in that description below, if you want to hear it the whole way through without me interrupting it, because there are so many things to point out about this performance. Because we've got, the vocal I have isolated, run it through the pitch monitoring software so we can appreciate that. But there is so much going on here from a guitar playing perspective. There is so much technique that is definitely going to fly under your radar if you don't play guitar yourselves. Colin just makes this look really easy, and the fact that he's playing and singing at the same time doubles the difficulty, as I always say. But it's the amount of dynamic control that he has, and we can see the mic that is picking up the guitar is getting in the way a little bit, or at least it's a second mic. You can see that he is plugged in, so maybe we're getting a mix of sounds here, but it sounds and looks like that he's doing this all flat picking, and he's giving you this rhythm sound, but occasionally picking out strings as well. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning just to point out a few things. So even here we've got this really light sound, but we've got this A minor, and we've definitely got that picking in there, and then coming off and on with that first finger, and we're then muting the strings with the palm, and we're also kind of getting this effect of striking the body of the guitar, and it's not really obvious, it's so subtle, but it is in there. When you add that in, you just get the groove of what he's playing, and this Yeah. And that's to an F and then a G. This isn't going to be an instructional video, but it's just pairing together rhythm and picking. So getting both of those things going on at the same time. And actually, he actually picks through there. So we've got this. Like that. So he just keeps it super clean, which is great. But all of this going on, he's still got that motion in his wrist so that he's still getting all of that motion, but you can still hear the single notes. So like I said, it's going to fly under your radar if you don't play guitar.
Do you come from a land down under? Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover.
And just these variations that Colin's putting into it, obviously he's taking a whole track here and just doing what he can in order to turn that whole track into just a piece on guitar. And you know, the way that he's organized this, even this kind of you know, being able to hear these notes, you know, and get them to ring out. Obviously, when you hear these notes ring out, it makes it different to just the playing that we've heard so far. So it's like an instrumental section, but you know, Colin's just got a guitar, so he's kind of worked through this in order to just make it interesting. I mean, it sounds great. It's a great arrangement just for his guitar. I mean, what he's done with this, it takes a hell of a lot of technique to pull this kind of thing off live and be able to sing at the same time. But he just absolutely nails it the whole way through. But let's listen on.
Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4" and full of muscle. I said to you, speak my language, brother.
I mean, again, from a dynamic perspective, where we've got this, it's kind of like that. So the riff, then a slightly dampened G. It's because of the vocals over the top that he's, I mean, really talking with his guitar, because the guitar is the voice when he's not singing, you know. So he kind of wants that riff to jump out to take your attention, but then when the vocal is that centerpiece and you want to listen to the lyrical content, it's a really subtle F and G that he throws in, and throughout this performance he's going to be changing his playing all the time dynamically, you know, getting louder, getting softer. So I've just taken it back to where we left it and we'll watch it until the end.
Lying in a den in Bombay with a slack jaw, not a lot to say. I said to the man, are you trying to tempt me? Because I come from the land of plenty. He said, oh, do you come from a land down under? Oh yeah, yeah. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, 'cause we are living in a land down under. Oh yeah. Well, women glow, men they plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, 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 living in the land down under. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, 'cause we are living in the land down under. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, yo, yo, yo. Better take cover.
And there we have it. So, for the second part of this analysis, I'm not going to need the guitar because we're going to be focusing on Colin's voice because he has such a unique sound to his vocal. When we look at some of the notes that he's hitting, it just is really impressive, but you kind of get that impression anyway, just listening to this performance, just how accurate he is with his voice. And it's also really important with this style of vocal delivery. It's something that Sting does a lot as well, where he cuts off the end of his phrases and the pitch has got to be spot on if you do that. But we'll jump into it and I'll point out what I'm talking about.
Traveling in a Friday combi.
There. Normally, like I say normally, it depends on your style. But the last word we have can't be, and that's what's going on. Now, if you go can't be and apply vibrato, it means that you get a little bit of a safety net because can't be, you can kind of find the note and vibrato and then get away with it if you're not as accurate pitch-wise. But just going can't be and kind of going can't be and going down to it and ending suddenly, that has got to be spot on. But this is the point, that when you do this kind of style of singing, not holding on notes, not applying vibrato to the end of your notes and keeping it so, staccato effectively at the end of your line, not holding it on for a long time, you've got to be so accurate because, as you can imagine, if you end your line and you go, can't be, and you are off, it just sounds really bad because you can't save that. You can't change that note and slide it into closer to where you should have been. It's an all or nothing approach that you've got to get the pitch exactly right.
On a hippie trail, head full of zombie.
There, I mean, this is great because, at the right-hand side here, I don't know whether you can see that or not, but if I move this across a little bit, it might make it clearer. That is a D5, and, it's not a D5, it's going to be a D4. The picture monitoring software has plotted it incorrectly, but it's still got the pitch of being a D. It's a D4. And you can see that he's bang on that line. So if I take it back and we can have a listen to it, it does strike you that it's just bang on where it needs to be.
On a hippie trail, head full of zombie.
That zombie, zombie, zombie. Try to do it to get it exactly on. This is why it's great. And the other thing is that I'm hitting it in a kind of zombie and a bit of a head voice kind of sound. But with Colin, he's kind of going zombie. And he does that, which means that he's just throwing his whole voice at this. A really clean vocal cord connection. But it means that, again, there's even less space to hide when you're connecting your vocal cords this cleanly. Because of the volume of it, it's going to come across so clearly if you miss it. This is the point, that doing this is really difficult. It's going to fly under your radar again so much in this performance. you might not really appreciate if you don't sing or play guitar, because doing this, just the guitar in itself is impressive if you're just to play this without singing, but then singing in this style as well and just being all over it.
Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover.
The other thing to look out for is the way that Colin is ending these phrases quickly, stylistically, because it's not something that, he can't do vibrato, so that's why he's finishing the lines really quickly. He can do vibrato, as we can see here on the pitch monitoring software, and with the last note of the song, he holds that, applies vibrato. Sometimes he applies a fast vibrato and sometimes a slower vibrato. So he's got control of his voice all the time. It's just he decides stylistically what he wants to do with it.
Hear the thunder.
There. Really nice, evenly controlled vibrato that he's got going on there. And we can see as we go through, we've got an A4 here on the pitch monitoring software. Top end of the male tenor range is an A4, so we are way up there. And I'll just let this play through.
Out and gave me a Vegemite sandwich, and he said, I come from a land down under.
Again, another A4. And you can hear that he's not shying away from this at all. He's not hitting it in a na-na-na, in a light head voice sound. It is really connected. And by the way, absolutely bang on here with that A4.
Well, bearders flow, and men they chunder. Can't you hear the thunder?
And that, by the way, is a B4. So, I mean, we've got the C5 here. The B4 is just going to be a semitone below that. That's the male tenor high C, which is, going up and above that A4 that we've already heard. And again, it's in this really connected sound. And you could argue that it's a bit of a mixed voice sound, but it sounds more full body than that. He's not going into anything different tonally. It just sounds the same as the rest of his voice. Let's listen again.
Can't you hear the thunder?
And just by leaning away from the mic and having that technique shows that he's hitting this inner voice, because moving away from the microphone, his voice then doesn't disappear. It means that he is really hitting these notes properly. So when we get into trying to hit a B4, you could go, and do it lightly like that. Of course, that's going to be easy, but hitting it with a clean tone and getting your voice going up there, I'll try and do it, going, thunder, kind of like that. It might even be cleaner than that connection that I just got, thunder, maybe a little bit more like that. I mean, it's really difficult to get up to being a B4. Like I've said, it's above the male tenor range, so most guys really struggle, as you can tell with me, really struggle to get up to that kind of height. But then the killer is coming down to the F sharp 4 and nailing that note. So getting these intervals just spot on, because a lot of the challenge is just trying to hit a B4, but then hit that B4 and then come down by exactly the right amount to get that F sharp 4. I mean, technically, it's just really impressive, and it sounds great to listen to, but when you try and do this yourself, I mean, even playing the guitar, but then trying to replicate this vocally, you'll realise how impressive it is.
You better run, you better take cover.
I mean, that phrase there, the A4, bang on, F sharp 4, bang on, down to the E4, bang on, and he actually just went up quickly to the F sharp 4 and came down to the D4. I mean, that is so spot on the whole way through. This isn't auto-tuned or pitch corrected, by the way, so we do see the lines visually being slightly flat and coming down a little bit flat here, a little bit sharp here, but for all intents and purposes, this is just perfect pitch. This is pitch perfect, I should say, because perfect pitch is being able to hear a note and then tell somebody what that note is with no reference. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it is pitch perfect throughout this whole performance. And again, this is another thing stylistically that Sting does. Sometimes in the background of instrumental sections, he's not necessarily giving you any lyrics or adding anything more to the story. It's just kind of E's and oohs and ahs, just vowel sounds, but just hitting melodies that are just in the background when the instrumentation is taking the focus. So again, you'll be able to hear how he's away from the mic now. This is just something to take your attention in the background. So just to finish with, I wanted to highlight this phrase at the end of the song. Let's have a listen.
Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, 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 you better run.
So, I mean, just listening to that, you can hear that it's spot on. But when we look at the pitch monitoring software, I mean, these intervals are so rock solid. The A4, which is the na-na-na, going down to the F sharp 4, he's just nailing this every single time. And, I mean, not taking anything off that A4, he's still effectively belting this out and just being so solid with it. And this is sometimes the case that when you've got a challenging vocal, when you are hitting notes that are in this case at the top end of the male tenor range and you have to keep on hitting them, it's not as if we get loads of rest between this. He's just nailing this A4, but he's got this vocal endurance in order to always hit this note. And he goes up to that B4 right at the end and then back to the A4. So, I mean, there's something for everyone in this performance from a guitar perspective, from a vocal perspective. And by the way, let me throw in here as well that it's the same key as the original release. So it's not as if he's had to change it to then make those high notes more accessible. And, you know, you could even argue here that he's hitting more of these notes than you will hear on that original. So massively impressive from so many different angles. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting this particular video for me to take a look at. As always, keep the suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!